Hello everybody and welcome to Meeting in the Flesh. Well, welcome back, I guess. I'm on the third video and I totally forgot. Alright, so... I believe we read this, but I'm gonna reread it because everybody needs a refresher sometimes. Yeasel ends up leading us out the door at the back of the office. It opens up to an external stairway that crawls upward, tracing along the contours of the building. Even this far down, veins and nerves from the overlook spire curl around the stairwell's guardrail, gently twitching whenever the wind picks up. The spire itself is calm, however. The myriad eyes half closed and shifting their gaze languidly. The overlook tower seems to be operating automatically for the moment. I do remember that. Okay. For some reason, I'm now real confused if I was using my webcam for the other two parts. Whatever. It's half awake. Let's make sure that didn't stop any of my recording. It's half awake right now. Sorry. I am using a new recording setup, kind of, sort of. I don't want to explain it. You still must have noticed me looking up curiously. It's not as alert when I'm in the pod, of course, but even I need to take breaks now and again. We can't just leave the streets completely unwatched, so the tower's evolved to have a half-wake state. Only half the eyes are active, and it can't differentiate between good and bad activity without me. It just automatically alerts us when it spots an unusual amount of movement anywhere. But still, it's better than nothing, and I'm grateful I can take quick breaks without feeling like I've left my pulse completely unattended. I vibe with that. We've been steadily heading up the stairs. Each time, Yeasel takes a step. The pointed tip of his leg hits the stair with metallic ping. His movements are graceful and calm. Wait, so he comes down to points? That's... how sharp. They always are. Everything about Yeasel seems graceful and calm. I can't help wondering how he does it. Sometimes I can't help wondering how anyone can always seem so put together. It must be hard. It slips out before I can catch myself, and I feel my face grow hot when Yeasel gives me a curious look. I mean, you make it look easy, but it sounds like your job really asks a lot of you. I think it's amazing how well you're able to stay on top of things. There's a pause before Yeasel gives a nod. He smiles gently, looking up to gaze towards the spire. I suppose it isn't easy, but I do my best. I'm glad if that seems to be enough. The wind is stronger as soon as we clear the stairwell and step onto the rooftop. The jagged shapes of the city spread out before us. Some buildings loom tall, trailing veins and feathery strands of flesh that sway in the wind, reflecting the green sunlight off damp spots. Others spread wide, covering entire blocks, like flat plains of bone-dry rock. The streets are full of people bustling about, no doubt busy tending to pre-eclipse business. Even from up here, it's obvious that everyone is excited. There's a strange, electric energy in the air. It's an amazing view. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeasel walks over to the edge of the roof. Near the spire, he lays a hand on it, and the flesh pulses gently against the touch of his fingers. The tower's eyes languidly scanning the high horizon. Shit. Jesus. I come here whenever I need a break. Looking at the city like this helps me regain my focus. Is it very different from how you are normally seeing the city through the spire? Of course, it makes sense that someone like Yeasel would need a place to rest once in a while. He slowly takes a seat at the edge of the building, then beckons me over, so I oblige, trotting over and taking a seat beside him, legs dangling over the edge. A stiff breeze blows past us, and I'm suddenly much more aware of how high up we are. I don't think I'm particularly afraid of heights, but I do feel a small thrill chase down my spine if I look down. I am afraid of heights. I was in my friend's apartment helping her move stuff the other day, and she lived on the 3rd story. I went out on her balcony, and then I chickened out and left. So I vibe with that. Yeasel doesn't seem afraid at all, though. Partly because he's used to being up this high, I imagine, but partly because he seems completely immersed in thought. The green of the sun washes over us as he gazes over the cityscape. His exoskeleton is beautifully glossy despite his exhaustion, warm sunlight bouncing off the sharp angles of his cheeks and wiry strands of his hair. His teeth are very white when he finally opens his mouth to speak. Pausing for a moment, he finally forms words. wanted to speak to you about a hypothetical situation. A hypothetical situation? Yes, hypothetical. He's curiously specific about that. A hypothetical. But I keep that observation to myself and only nod. Sure, I don't know how helpful I could be, but I'm always happy to try. He still nods in response, ruminating over his thoughts for a moment. A moment longer before speaking. Where did I get the note from? Let's say you have the chance to help a lot of people. However, it comes at a cost. You need to give up something very important to yourself in order to help those people. There's nobody forcing you to do it. There's no punishment if you don't help those people, and nobody will chastise you for not wanting to pay the price. It is purely your decision, whether you pay the price and help those people. What do you think you would do, Vil? It's a tough question. He still doesn't look at me, his gaze still directed out over the cityscape, and I try to see what he's seeing as I think that question over. How should I answer? It's a scary question. What would the price be? Would the help be significant? I should answer him properly, but I can't help thinking, first and foremost, that this is kind of a scary hypothetical. This is purely a hypothetical question, right? I give a low laugh. Though I try to sound casual, I'm sure it comes out a little nervous. It just seems like a scary question. You look real aggressive right there. I know you're smiling, but shit. There's a brief pause before Yistel nods in response, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Of course, it's just hypothetical. Then let me try putting it in a slightly different way. Still hypothetical? Still hypothetical. Yistel seemed slightly amused by that clarification, eyes narrowed in a thin smile. I think it's so funny the way his mouth comes down right there. It just looks like he's going. You would, hypothetically speaking, like to be a better person, yes? I nod. Of course, I think everyone wants to be a better person, if possible. Then, let's say there's a way for you to objectively become a better version of yourself. Not in a nebulous, vague way. It wouldn't be that you'd be wiser or more experienced or more thoughtful. You'd objectively become a better version of what you are now. An upgrade, if you will. Do you think you would want that? It depends on what you lose in the process. Better version of who you are now. But objectively, how? So like, if you implanted another brain into me, and I became really smarter, does that objectively make me a better person? If I sell all of my stuff and give the money to charity, does that objectively make me a better person? What are we talking about? Maybe. I hesitate before answering. Yeah, I don't know what you mean though, so like I can't say for sure. I'm not sure. It sounds like it might be good, but it's also hard to imagine. And I think something like that might have downsides to it. I'd need to think it over carefully. A fair point. Then, building on that same scenario, Yistel turns to look at me. The sunlight glimmers off the metallic strands of his hair, highlighting the sharp angle of his eyelids, and I find myself sitting up straighter. All of my focus is on considering his words. This feels like something important to him, so I want to consider it with the gravity it deserves. We? The character, can't remember their name, my bad, mentioned sitting up straighter, and it reminded me that I was slouching? I don't know, brought it to my attention. Let's say you make that improvement. You're guaranteed that it will make you better, and you'll be able to do better at your job. Everyone will admire you for it. There are practically no downsides to this improvement itself. But your relationship to someone you value will change drastically, and it can't be changed back. Not broken, mind you. You'd still have a close relationship with that person, but it will be different. How do you feel about that? It's hard to answer immediately. Mixed emotions trickle through my head, and I need to filter through them. A significant part of me wants to better myself, of course, but I also value my relationships with people. It's a tough question, isn't it? Yistel's eyes are narrowed, his expression gentle as he studies my face. Sorry, I know it's a strange hypothetical to spring on anyone, but I value your opinion and I'd really appreciate it if you'd tell me your honest thoughts about it. I can sort of understand what Yistel is getting at. If I try hard enough, okay, figured it out. I repeat his words in my head, ruminating over each one. Well, becoming an unequivocally better person at the cost of a changed relationship. How do I feel about that? I think it would depend on how the relationship changes. I wouldn't be able to turn down a situation like that immediately, but I wouldn't immediately say yes either. It's a really hard question. I don't know if I could really answer it. It's definitely something I'd consider, but I'd need more information too. Changing the relationship I have with someone could potentially be pretty big, and I wouldn't do something like that without knowing more details. Yistel's gaze remains fixed on me. You value your relationships to other people a lot, don't you? Is this too forward? Of course, but mostly my relationship with you. I joke to try and lighten the mood a touch. Though I'm not sure it really lands, Yistel gives a low laugh, the sound rasping from the back of his throat. Are you trying to flirt with me? I can't say I don't appreciate the sentiment, but perhaps at a different time. He gives a long sigh as he sits back, propping himself up on his arms as he gazes out over the city. Though he still looks as controlled and calm as ever, his posture seems more lax than usual. In conjunction with his pensive expression, it lends him a strange air of vulnerability, like he's struggling with something he's never struggled with before. Yistel? Yes? I know you said that these are all hypothetical questions, but if you wanted to talk about anything non-hypothetical, I'd also be alright with it. Yistel cants his head, gaze cast aside in thought. A breeze whips past us, sending wiry strands of his hair floating up around him. They practically sparkle in the warm sunlight. His voice is a little softer, almost blending into the distant buzz of the city as he murmurs, "You're very kind to ask, Phil. Thank you. I suppose I haven't been terribly subtle. It's true that there are things I've been thinking about very seriously. But alas, we should be getting back to work, shouldn't we?" There's the gentle tap-tap of his feet against the rooftop as he rises. Two clear sounds like the knock of bone against rock. His body is lithe and serpentine when he stretches his arms, fingers swaying out wide for a second as he extends his limbs as far as they reach. Looking up at him from where I'm sitting on the rooftop, I'm all the more aware of how this person, who's so important to the city's well-being, is also just a single individual facing tremendous pressure. Yistel exhales slowly, the noise whistling past the sharp points of his teeth before he lowers his arms. His body language is graceful and casual, once more as he reaches down to pat my shoulder. His fingers squeeze briefly before releasing. Let's head back in, shall we? Of course, I climb to my feet and follow after him as he starts heading back down the stairwell and into the office. Yistel doesn't say anything more as he leads the way down the stairwell. The breeze carries the sound of the city, flittering them past our ears. Thoughtful murmurs, someone's excited shout, the thump of running feet. Pausing in my steps, I close my eyes and turn towards the endless expanse of buildings, but it's hard making out any individual sound, even if I focus. All I know is that the city is abuzz with energy, excited for the eclipse. Things seem to be progressing smoothly, even with my drier attitude towards the eclipse. I find myself growing a little excited for the potential that day holds. When I snap out of my reverie and hurry to catch up to Yistel, he holds the office door open for me, smiling kindly as he ushers me inside first. Thank you so much for keeping me company, Bill. I truly appreciate it. The subtle signs of worry and vulnerability he'd shown while discussing these hypotheticals with me are gone. Just like that. There's only the calm, collected, gentle Yeastel that I've always known, standing before me, holding out my pack. Just getting a few minutes to relax and speak with you is incredibly refreshing. I'm grateful for your time. But I do hope I didn't cause you too much trouble on your route. Not at all. I give the most reassuring nod I can. It's a white lie in the sense that it did tighten my schedule, but I'm fairly confident it won't cause me any issues. I can make this work out. I swiftly tie my pack over my shoulders once more, jostling it to make sure it's secure before turning towards the door. I'll be going then. I hope the rest of your day goes smoothly. Don't push yourself too hard, alright? Of course. Take care, Vil. Even a few of the other workers glance over, giving me a brief wave. I return the gesture as I pull the door open. I do one last check of my pack as I step outside, and as the door closes behind me, I catch one last glimpse of Yeastel through the narrowing sliver of an opening. He meets my gaze and flashes me a smile, the corners of his eyes squinting. A look that feels like a genuine connection. And then the door shuts. A sizable part of me wants to linger. After all, I'm sure Yeastel had more to say. The topics he brought up felt far too specific and heavy to be mere hypotheticals, and it doesn't sit well with me to leave the subject hanging in the air. But still, both he and I have work to do. Too many people will be left troubled if we don't tend to our tasks. And so, I turn away towards the street, taking a deep breath. The claws of my feet dig in as I take 1, 2 steps. My next steps come faster, my gait widening as my pace picks up. Then I ramp up into a gallop, the scenery around me smearing as I gather speed. My own worries can come later. For now, I need to focus. It wouldn't do to leave people without salt when such an important day is coming up. Thanks for the delivery. No problem. Hey, you be careful now, alright? Will do, thanks. I have to hurry. I'm usually never this behind schedule. If I move quick, then I should still be able to finish all of my deliveries before the end of the day and avoid getting to anyone late. But I can't really afford to delay anymore. My feet skid across the ground as I turn a corner, my claws raking deep furrows into the dirt as I straighten back up without dropping my pace. My next 2 clients are absent from their homes. As much as it pains me to say, that's good for me today. I quickly slot their salt packets into their boxes and resume running. I'll say hi to them on another day when I have more time. I'm sure they're also busy with their own Eclipse preparations. Distracted, trying to think of any other shortcuts I could take without skipping any stops on my route. I don't hear the sound of approaching footsteps, and the instant I step into... I don't hear the sound of approaching footsteps the instant I step in the park. Jeez. And I certainly don't expect a hefty bundle of fur and fangs to come bursting out of the foliage to my immediate left. Vil! I don't manage to stop quickly enough. Neither does Branton. He collides squarely with me, knocking us both into the grass. I was waiting for you. You were? I gently push up Branton's shoulders so he'll get off me. Not that this is a particularly terrible position to be in. Branton's fur is quite soft and clean today. He must have taken a shower after last night's exploring, and his body is very warm, but he's still heavy, and getting pressed into the grass for too long might make dirt seep through my pack and taint the salt. Bratton moves back obligingly, clambering to his feet and holding his hand out so I can also stand. His hand is huge, the pads of his paws squished slightly against my palm. You're still on your route, right? You're a little later than usual today. I was kind of worried I'd missed you. Yeah, I had something kind of important to take care of. I'll run with you. Thanks. He's never done this before. Still, it's not like I mind the company, and Branton is in fantastic shape even as I run at a steady jog. He keeps up with me just by walking quickly. See, I found something really interesting last night. So that's why he was waiting for me. He must have been really excited to tell someone. What is it? I'm not sure. Huh? But I'm doing my best to figure it out. That sounds difficult. Branton looks around before he continues speaking, like he's making sure nobody else is around. Visibility is poor in the park anyway, so even if someone were eavesdropping, I'm not sure if he'd be able to spot them. Nonetheless, he looks satisfied that we're alone and continues, he's so excited that his voice is starting to get gravelly at the edges, like he's fighting back the urge to start barking. I think it's... You know what? I'm gonna take a water break. So I just realized that I had 2 of the games open. And I had the sound turned down so far that I didn't notice the sounds were competing. Which is really unfortunate, but I'll fix it in editing, I think. Maybe. I'll try my best. Wish me luck. Well, you all already know, but dang it. I think it's really important, you know. I've never seen anything like it before. And I think it could change things. If it's what I think it might be, then this might be huge. I might go down in history as someone incredible. So I'm really excited to figure out more about it. He's so enthusiastic that it's infectious. I can't help smiling as I nod. I don't know much about exploring, but I do hope it's something great. You're always working really hard, and it'd be nice if people got a chance to really appreciate all the work you put into your job. Brenton beams, showing off all of his teeth. We jog along in silence for a few minutes. By the way, did you put in an order for any salt today? Brenton looks a little like he was startled out of his thoughts by that. His fur's puffed out a little larger than usual. Oh, yeah, I did. Would you like it now? Sure. I slow to a walk so I can fumble with my pack, carefully extracting one of the salt packets without dropping any of the others. Here you go. Hey, do you have a few moments to spare? It's my turn to be caught off guard. Still holding out Branton's packet, I give him a curious look. I want to show you something. He's so excited he's drooling slightly, a thin string of spittle hanging from his jaw. It must be his discovery from the other day. Well, I feel a little bad, but I have to turn him down. I don't have that much time to spare after spending time with Yeastel, too. Sorry, Branton. Things are kind of hectic today, so I have to hurry. Maybe I can meet you after my rout's over? Aw. Branton's ears have tilted down a smidge. The wagging of his tail slowed significantly. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I guess you're a little behind today, huh? He was pretending to be fine, but I can tell he's a little unhappy about this. Are you sure? I'd be happy to come back here after I'm done delivering. I just don't want to keep anyone waiting. Branton considers that for a moment before shaking his head. His tail's wagging with gusto once more. Yeah, it's fine. On second thought, I guess I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be showing you. So I'll check and come back later when you're not busy, and I'm sure we won't get in trouble for it. That'd be great. Thanks for the invitation, though, Branton. No problem. He reaches out a massive paw, probably to clap it on my back, but he course corrects when he remembers I'm wearing the bundle over my shoulder and ruffles my hair instead. His claws are huge and sharp, but they graze against my brow. I like you a lot, you know. If it were anyone else, I'd suspect this was a very well-constructed attempt to guilt-trip me, but Branton isn't the type for anything like that, so I managed to smile as I gingerly duck from under his paw. That reminds me of something that just happened to me today. I had called my husband. I thought he was out of work. He wasn't, so he hung up on me. And 10 minutes later, he didn't call me back. I thought he was maybe on another call. So I texted him, hey, I don't know why you hung up on me, but don't call me back. I'll be recording. I'll see you at home. And then I realized how shitty that sounded, so I quickly sent another text that was like, I'm just bad with words. That wasn't meant to be passive-aggressive or anything, because it could have came out really passive-aggressive. But I am not the type. I will tell you if you're bothering me. Or I will leave. Those are my 2 options. Those are my 2 go-tos. I'll be like, hey, I don't like it. Or I'll just straight up go away. I don't want to be here. If it were any... Oh, right. I like you a lot, too. So I'll be looking forward to seeing your big discovery in the future. Sure thing. The slick of damp ground underfoot gives way to firm rock bed as we near the edge of the park. Oh yeah, here. I've still been holding Branton's salt packet and hold it out to him. Right, thanks. Be careful on the rest of your route, alright? Will do. I tighten the bundle over my shoulder to make sure it's firmly in place, then head off at a steady jog. Halfway down the block, I turn to glance over my shoulder. Sure enough, Branton's still there watching me. I raise a hand to give him a brief wave, and he excitedly returns the gesture before finally turning and sinking into the foliage of the park. I can't help wondering what it was that Branton wanted to show me. Part of me feels like I may have missed something big. But for now, I have to focus on my job. My next delivery is a good few blocks away, so I turn the corner and ramp up into a speedy gallop. Here you go. Hard at work today too, huh? Yes, sir. Things have been a little hectic today. Can't be helped, huh? Well, I hope I won't keep you. Be careful now. Thanks. Have a nice day. I'm starting to get a little out of breath. I usually manage to down my entire route at a steady pace, but today's been a day of ups and downs. I've had to rush a lot more after that talk with Yusel, and I can feel my legs starting to ache a little. I slow from a sprint to a jog so I can go down my list of notes. I finished most of my route now, with only a few more blocks to run, which is good. A quick glance up at the sky confirms that the suns are starting to set already. The sky is tingling their usual musty green. It's starting to get late, which means I'm cutting it a little close. The palpable tension in the air has been rising all day too. There are more people hanging around the streets than usual, some rowdy and causing trouble, others pressed together in quiet intimacy. I turn the corner to take a shortcut down a street and find my foot splashing into a puddle of red. The metallic stench that lingers in the air is unmistakable, and it's cut through with the signature sting of salt, no doubt the remnants of a punishment salt bath. Or multiple salt baths, possibly. The metal tubs used for salt baths tend to leave behind dark rings of moisture on the ground. There are 2-3 circles overlapping each other. I can't tell if it's the result of one tub being jostled around or multiple tubs used in quick succession. I move quickly past this site, both because I can't afford to loiter, but also because the combined smell of blood and salt is making me hungry. I haven't had the chance to take a break or eat anything today. I risk a brief glance back as I head down the street. I left behind a trail of dark footprints, radiating out from the pool of blood, but fading with each step until they vanish. The puddle of blood is still there. It will seep into the ground eventually, leaving a dark stain for a while. Kinda like the eclipse, huh? A big happening that will leave an impression for quite a while. I'm not a very poetic person. I feel a little smug for thinking of a comparison like that, but I can't spare too much time to self-congratulatory nonsense. I drag my thoughts away from the drying puddle of blood and look back towards the street. Have a nice day, Bill. Thanks, you too. Time's getting awfully tight, but I should be able to finish my route on time if I keep up this pace. And I make the mistake of breathing a quiet sigh of relief to myself as I dash past a block of closed storefronts. Closed for the eclipse. I round a corner quickly enough that my claws get on the ground. I almost slam right into the bustling crowd, that's loitering around breathing in huge lungfuls of sweet, honey-scented air. What's going on? It's usually never this crowded. Sorry, excuse me, passing through. Sorry I have to get through here. I gingerly squeeze past a crowd of people. It turns out these people have formed a line that trails out from Yarg's B store, but the line has grown tangled and messy as it trails out onto the streets. Getting past them is a struggle, and more than a few people shoot me dirty looks that I have to pacify by shifting the bundle on my shoulders and clarifying that I'm just here to make a delivery. Most grumble, but grudgingly let me through. A cluster of people blocks my path near the entrance, and I wait for a few people to finish their business and exit so I can slip in as the next customers enter. I can't talk anymore. I check over my bundle while waiting, peeking through the folds of fabric to check how many more deliveries I have to make, although I lose count when I'm distracted by a conversation going on nearby. You've heard the rumors about the guy running this store, right? All these ones again? I haven't. What do they say about him? They say this guy sucks energy out of other people. I roll my eyes while my head's ducked. I haven't heard these rumors myself, but it sounds silly. I've never heard of anyone eating anything other than water and salt with additives, much less sucking the energy out of people. No way, that's so creepy. My voice is starting to get strained. Right? But it makes sense, doesn't it? With how gruff this guy usually is. Yeah, he always feels kind of off, you know? Maybe that's why he has this store, you know, to lure in victims. The two of them laugh raucously. I just tighten my bundle across my shoulders and ignore whatever else they're saying. It's all nonsense. Nyarg would never put up with this stuff, or shouldn't have to put up with this stuff. He's a good guy. Hopefully these idiots won't actually say this stuff to his face. Fortunately, a small cluster of excited customers exit the store in the next moment, and I take the chance to slip inside, murmuring that I'm just here to make a delivery and I'll be out soon. Inside the store, I manage to weave my way past the crowds of people looking at bees and find Nyarg near the back of the store, where he mans the counter alone. All of his tentacles are hard at work managing 6 different tasks at once. He's very Cthulhian. Nyarg, I mean. He's got, like, you know, multiple mouths, multiple tentacles, but has enough control to do 6 different tasks at a time. His teeth are bared as he breathes in deep, rasping puffs. He must be stressed. Hey, Nyarg. Hello, Vil. He doesn't even turn my way. Not that I can blame him. He's busy dealing with a customer on one side, packing up a bottle of honey with one set of tentacles, and soothing an agitated bee with two others. The smell of honey in the air is almost dizzying, stirred up by the constant movement of people in the store, and I can't help but take in a deep breath before busying myself undoing my bundle. Busy day today, huh? Sure is. His tentacles swiftly wrap around a bottle of honey and fabric, then tie a piece of twine into a bow and secure it. His customer thanks him profusely before leaving with their purchase in hand, babbling excitedly to their friend about how tonight will be a special treat. Seeing everyone happy about their purchases makes it worth it, though. His voice is as gruff as ever, but the corners of his lips quirk just a fraction. He really does seem happy when his customers are happy. Aww. Seems like it. I hurry to pull a package of salt from my bundle, double-checking my notes and making sure I have the right packet for him. Then I lay it on the counter. I'd hand it to him, but all of his tentacles are occupied packaging 2 different orders at the same time. I'll leave this here for you, alright? With how busy the store is, it would probably be best if I don't take up too much of Nyarg's time. I give a little nod and turn to leave when the touch of a tentacle against my shoulder stops me. Vil? He sounds serious. He always sounds a little serious, of course, but this feels different. Yes? There's a pause. Nyarg's tentacles never stop moving, neatly processing and wrapping orders for customers standing on the other side of the counter. But the tentacle resting against my shoulder only squeezes slightly. He addresses a customer first, wishing them a nice day as he hands them their package, before turning slightly toward me. If you could spare some time, would you mind helping me out a little? I'm a little surprised. Not about the request itself. Any reasonable person would ask for help managing a store this busy. But because I've never seen Nyarg ask anyone for help before, I can't help feel a little flattered that he'd ask. That said, I need to think this over for a moment. Unfortunately, I don't have much time left today, and I do still have a few more deliveries to make. Reaching back, I test the weight of my bundle with my hands, trying to gauge how much time I would need to deliver all of these before the end of the day. I should be able to hit all the stops on time as long as I hurry, but I stopped here to help Nyarg. No, I really can't risk getting people their deliveries late, especially on the day before the eclipse. I don't want to risk ruining anyone's preparations for a big day. I'm sorry, Nyarg, but I'm on a pretty tight schedule today. That's understandable. You did come in a bit later than you usually do today. Yeah, things have been pretty hectic today, so I'm a bit behind, and I don't want to be late with anyone's deliveries today. Nyarg nods. His tentacles keep working. I'm really sorry. I wish I could help. I could come around after my route's over if you need any help closing up shop. He shakes his head. His attention already seems to be wandering away from me. Tentacles artfully wrapping up another bottle of honey even as he speaks. It's alright. The worst part of the rush should be over soon. You should get some rest after your work. Are you sure? It's no trouble coming by after my route. He nods again. Thanks for the offer, but it's fine. I feel like I've put somewhat of a damper on things, but I guess it couldn't be helped. Sometimes things just work out that way. Alright then, hopefully things won't be too hard for you. We're nearing the end of the day after all. I tighten the straps of my bundle, to make sure it's firmly in place. It's grown pretty light by now, the fabric weighed down by only a handful of salt packets. But that doesn't mean my remaining deliveries are any less important. Behind me, I can hear a few customers huff impatiently. No doubt they think I'm holding up the line. Take care. Most of Nyarg's tentacles are hard at work wrapping up bottles and soothing... Oh, I didn't mess up my makeup. And soothing agitated bees, but he still spares one to give me a small wave. I wave back as I step away from the counter. You too. Good luck. Nyarg doesn't respond anymore, already busying himself tending to the next customer in line. They want to look at the bees Nyarg has set up for sale, since they're considering outright buying one. They must be big spenders. Nyarg steps out from behind the counter to lead them to the cages. I guess I should go. And I guess that's a good place to end it. Yay. Okay. Thank you everybody for coming out and playing with me. I had a ton of fun, but my voice is really starting to hurt now. So I'm gonna go. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you drink lots of water. Don't follow my example and only drink once in 30 minutes. You should drink more than that. And I will drink more than that after this because my throat hurts. Maybe I'll make some tea. I don't know. Anyway, I gotta go. Okay, stop. You're distracting me. You knock that off. Alright, I'll see you next time. Okay?